court dismisses petition on suspension of Labour Party chairman Abure and others. Former Petroleum Resources Minister Diezani sues EFCC. AGF demands 100 billion naira in damages for alleged libel. Indiscriminate drilling of borehole poses danger to residents of Kaduna State. And on the international scene, 15 mourners taking body for burial die in Cameroon road smash. Hello and welcome to Trust TV News Update. I am Sumaya Abubakar. Thank you for joining us. Now the news in full. Despite the final respite, finally came the way to embattle Labour Party National Chairman Julius Abure, as an Edo High Court on Friday dismissed the notice of suspension issued against him by some members of his Ward 3 executives in Esan Northeast local government area of the state. Delivering his judgment, Justice Emmanuel Oke Aihamoje said the party's ward executive in Ward 3 lacked the power under the LP Constitution, particularly Articles 17 and 19, and the Electoral Act 2022 as amended to remove the national chairman of the party. Justice Aihamoje held that the purported Ward 3 executive who suspended the national chairman of the party acted outside the powers vested on it by the party's constitution. The judge imposed an injunction against removing or suspending Abure as the national chairman until the national convention of the party was convened. Responding to the judgment, counsel to LP President Aigbo Khan described the judgment as a landmark decision that would stand the test of time. He said any decision taken on the void notice of suspension failed effortlessly. The Supreme Court has struck out a suit instituted by the opposition PDP seeking the disqualification of the Vice President-elect Kashim Shettima for alleged double nomination. The party sought the disqualification of Tinubu Shettima joint ticket for the 2023 presidential election on account of double nomination contrary to the provision of the Electoral Act 2022. Noel Sampson reports that the judgment now clears the coast for the inauguration of President-elect Bola Ahmed Tinubu and Vice President-elect Kashim Shettima slated to hold on Monday. The report.
The appeal was brought by the People's Democratic Party through their counsel, Mike Ozokome, SAN, alleging that Shettima had double nomination as senatorial candidate for Borno Central Senatorial District and vice president candidate under the All Progressive Congress. The Apex Court held that apart from the fact that the PDP lacked requisite jurisdiction to institute the suit, the party also failed to provide sufficient evidence against Shettima to prove its allegations.
The Supreme Court have dismiss our appeal, that we have no local standard, and that irrespective of the unlawfulness of what APC did, we are not members of APC and we cannot challenge it. Yes, well, this is the Supreme Court. We can't, like I told them in court, we can't appeal to God. We will stop here. We are bound by their judgment.
However, counsel to APC, Babatunde Ogala, SAN, expressed pleasure with the decision of the Apex Court.
I must commend the courts, the Supreme Court, and not just the Supreme Court, but all layers of court that this matter has gone through. You will notice that the court had said the issue ordinarily would have been settled on locus, but they went into it just to let the record straight and to make a policy and to send a message loud and clear to the whole world that this kind of frivolous actions will not be entertained by this court. The matter is settled. This is the highest court of the land. Shettima was validly nominated in full compliance with the provisions of the electoral law and the Electoral Act and the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And it has also been confirmed that he was indeed well and validly nominated.
Justice Adamu Jauro, who delivered the lead judgment, imposed a fine of 2 million naira on the PDP for interference into the internal affairs of the All Progressive Congress and the conduct of its primary elections and nomination of its candidate. Noel Samson, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Ahead of May 29 inauguration day, the presidential inauguration, of course, Nigerian women have urged President-elect Bola Ahmed Tinubu to enforce the national gender policy by allotting 35% of appointments in the public sector to women, as promised in his mandate. The Minister of Women Affairs, Pauline Tali, said that it is at an intercessory proclamation in Abuja, noted that the call came amid concerns about the underrepresentation of women in leadership positions and governance in Nigeria, with hopes that the incoming administration changes the narrative. The report.
The importance of gender mainstreaming in governance, role of women in socio-economic development, policy making, management and implementation, as well as constituting over 50% of the Nigerian population, are needed to contribute meaningfully to nation building. But these women groups who have gathered to pray for a peaceful transition of the president-elect say they are assured he would adhere to these principles and rule of law.
Women have paid their dues in Nigeria. I want Mr. President and the Vice President and all the incoming governors to ensure that they engage more women, both at the national, state and local government level. Engaging more women is the true renewed hope, is the only surest way to a peaceful and prosperous Nigeria.
Nigerian women, at least 35% will be carried out on his administration. That is our expectations, that at least Nigerian women will be carried out in every program, in every activities, and also in government offices.
They noted that with the amount of women participation at the recently concluded 2023 general elections and preparedness for inclusion, women are more than ready to take on active roles in supporting the incoming administration for the greater good of the country.
We collectively came out, we casted our votes to ensure that we bring this administration.
We are much prepared. Women are so happy that at this very time, in this very new administration, incoming administration, women folk are going to be more inclusive. Of course, women are very happy and they can't even wait for it to manifest.
Despite the country's adoption of the national gender policy and other international instruments, the 35% affirmative action has not been achieved, and women continue to be marginalized in politics and decision-making processes. Like every Nigerian, the women hope that the incoming administration will usher in greater women inclusion in governance. Aisha Salihu, Trust TV News, Abuja.
The Imo State Police Command has placed its men on alert following allegations that the indigenous peoples of Biafra, IPOB, and its armed affiliate, Eastern Security Network, ESN, are planning to disrupt the inauguration of newly elected members of the Imo State House of Assembly. The command, in a statement by the police public relations officer, ASP Henry Okoye, said that the Commissioner of Police, CP Muhammad Ahmed Berde, has ordered adequate deployment of the command's operatives to the entire state. The statement added the CP has mandated area commanders, divisional police officers, DPOs, and tactical team commanders under his command and control to use all available assets in embarking on an intelligence-led patrol, round-the-clock visibility policing, and operation show of force while synergizing with the other security agencies, and ensure that operatives adopt the best professional ethics in delivering a modernized human rights compliant police service. He advised the public to disregard the misleading sit-at-home order or threats issued by the outlawed group and go about their lawful business without any form of fear or intimidation, as the command has in place adequate security measures that will guarantee the peaceful inauguration and transition of the newly elected legislators in the state. The 2023 elections have been concluded with aggrieved parties currently in court to seek redress and legal interpretation based on the tenets of the Electoral Act and the Constitution. In this remark, Trust TV's Sagir Ibrahim speaks with Nigerians at the 2023 post-election adjudication and their expectations. Take a look.
The respondents expressed confidence in the judiciary delivering fair judgment, especially with the new 2022 Electoral Act serving as a guideline to further strengthen the process.
I will say we hope that the right winner will be declared, even if it is the president-elect, if he's the winner. But I will say going forward, that law needs to be amended again, so that when there's an election, all election tribunal petitions should have been solved.
It depends. Those who approach the court, they should know that they have to have a valid point to prove their case. If you prove your case, the court will deliver justice. When they don't believe that they deliver justice, it means something is wrong one way along the line with their own side.
If they did well in Osun, they will do well in other ones. So I have confidence in the judiciary.
This group also held a peaceful demonstration in the capital city, Abuja. Their call is on the Election Petition Tribunal to grant fair hearing to all sides. Dr. Salahuddin Hashim, a public affairs analyst, says Nigerians must put national interest first, while believing that justice will prevail in the end.
At this point, the national interest must come forward. And then, of course, we must see the position of the judiciary, that they are also major stakeholders, and that there is also a body on them to be able to ensure that they institutionalize governance in a manner that help us to be able to advance further. Either way, whoever wins in court, of course, still has an opportunity for approaching the higher court to say, look, they want to vacate the judgment of the lower court until they get to the Supreme Court.
The 2022 Electoral Act provides that a petitioner intending to challenge an election result must file their petition within 21 days after the declaration of the election result, and an election tribunal has 180 days from the filing date to hear and determine an election petition, as any petition determined outside the 180 days period will be rendered invalid. Sagir Ibrahim, Trust TV News, Abuja.
A former Petroleum Minister of Resources, of course, Dezani Alison Madueke, has sued the Attorney General of the Federation and the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, for alleged libel. She is demanding 100 billion naira to be paid to her in damages, according to a writ of summons filed on her behalf at the Federal High Court, Abuja, by her team of lawyers led by Mike Ozechome San. A copy of the writ of summons on Friday night directed the defendants jointly and severally to pay to the claimants the sum of 100 billion naira as damages for the false, injurious, malicious and libelous publications against the claimant in the first defendant's publishing platform, and at the instance of both the first and the second defendants. In the writ of summons dated May 26, 2023, the former minister is also demanding that the EFCC and AGF apologize to her in 3 national dailies over what she described as the false, injurious, malicious and libelous publications against her since she left Nigeria in 2015. Both EFCC and the AGF were given 14 days from the service of the summons to enter their defense. You're watching news updates on Trust TV. Coming up, we'll take a look at how sexually explicit materials generate ripples. Details on this and more after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is News Update on Trust TV. And here is a recap of our top stories. Robochu Court dismisses petition on suspension of Labour Party Chairman Abure and others. And former Petroleum Resources Minister Dizani sues EFCC, AGF and the man's 100 billion naira in damages for alleged libel. Now moving on to more stories. Indiscriminate drilling of boreholes without proper regulations is now common in Kaduna State. Many expressed fear, if not checked, may lead to earth tremor, environmental hazard and other health challenges in human lives. The question often asked by people concerned is whether the drilling activities is left without regulations. Now in this report, Trust TV's Bello Musa examines the negative effects of the indiscriminate drilling of boreholes on the environment and its social and economic implications. His report.
Borehole has become source of potable drinking water for many households in both rural and urban areas.
Drilling of borehole is rampant in everywhere. Almost every other household acquire borehole. Because people don't have any other option in trying to, get good and hygiene water.
But experts say rampant drilling of boreholes without study poses danger to the environment.
Excessive exploitation of water can result to a lot of things. One, it can cause tremor. And solid rocks are being what? On daily basis drilled. It weakens the subsurface structures.
For an individual who wants to drill a borehole in his house, he needs to come and apply for a permit from us. So we have to go and look at the site he wants to drill the borehole and ensure that the site is appropriate and is according to the regulations that are approved in the commission.
This well has been in existence for over 60 years. It has been a source of water supply to the community. The well is drying up now. The households are attributing it to rampant sinking of boreholes. The well is always filled up with water in both rainy and dry season. But with many boreholes around, it is drying up.
Now the wells are drying up because the boreholes development or the boreholes drilling are so rampant. Within 500 meters you can have 10 boreholes. So how do you expect water from a nearby holes to exist?
Kaduna State Water Services Regulatory Commission, saddled with the responsibility of water regulations in the state, says penalties are imposed for indiscriminate drilling of boreholes to address environmental hazards associated with it.
We normally get a report that some people are drilling borehole on the roads. Some people drill boreholes on roads. We go assess it, we warn them because regulation with the water sector is a new thing in the country. So you need to carry the people along and we tell them the implications of doing that and so on. But if a guy insists, that's why we approached the Chief Judge of Kaduna State. We visited the judiciary in Kaduna twice, and we're lucky the current Chief Judge has already assigned a magistrate court for us.
Those you call quacks, we co-opt them, retrain them very well, so that they will know what the business is all about.
In the past, people drill about 40 meters to get water, and now people drill all to 180 meters and above to get water. Expert warns that if nothing is done to improve the public water supply and arrest the situation, Kaduna State may experience terrible environmental hazard in the future. Bello Musa, Trust TV News, Kaduna.
The Muslim Society of Students of Nigeria has called on federal government to ban primary and secondary school textbooks with sexually explicit material. In its letter to the Federal Ministry of Education, the society warns that sexually explicit material could corrupt the minds of the children. Hamid Oyegbade files in the report.
The Amir of the Muslim Student Society of Nigeria, B-Zone Kozim Odedeji, said some textbooks meant for children in primary and secondary schools contained sexually explicit materials. Odedeji said some of the textbooks promote abortion, masturbation, and immoral sexual behaviors.
There are things that are better left for the parents and the religious leaders to handle. So there are things that can unnecessarily sexualize our children. So issues bordering on abortion, issues bordering on safe sex, and some other things, lewd things like that. So we believe these children are too young to be exposed to this kind of information.
Some parents in Osun State agreed with MSSN, saying that sex education should be left for parents to handle at home rather than the school.
And in Islam, it is totally, abhorred that such subject should be made public discussion, even among the elderly, not to talk of children who do not know, anything yet. So to create such a impression in young minds like that is very, very deplorable.
Sex education should be taught at home, not in school. The parents know the level of their children, because teaching them in the school, we made them to expose to some of these bad things.
When they taught the students in the class, the students may like to practicalize what they were taught in the class, so that after the school hour, they may find somewhere to practicalize what they have been taught in the class, which can cause harmful to the children. So it should be left for the parents, not that it should be taught in the school.
The MSSN said inclusion of sexually explicit materials in the textbooks is a threat to morality of the children and an attack on cultural and religious values.
The first thing we want is that all these books that contain all these materials should be recalled from the market. So we want them to be recalled from the market so that they will not be in use again. So, and at the same time, we want the curriculum to be reviewed so all those contents will not be necessary again. So, and we want the abolition of sexual education in our schools, in our primary and secondary schools.
The society is worried about the declining discipline, examination malpractices, and immorality, among other vices. Hamid Oyegbade, Trust TV News, Osogbo.
A flight belonging to Nigerian Air has touched down at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport in Abuja. Minister of Aviation Hadi Sirika has been confident that Nigeria Air would fly before the tenure of Buhari ends. There have been controversies involved in the project, which is currently being challenged by domestic airlines. In an interview on Friday, Chief Executive of Aero Contractors, Captain Ado Sanusi, said the arrival of the aircraft did not translate into commencement of commercial operation by the airline. According to him, it is practically impossible for the airline to start commercial passengers operation in 2 days' time, given the rigorous process involved, which he believes will not be waived by the regulatory authorities, the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, NCAA, as the whole world is watching. And now on the international scene, 15 people in Cameroon taking the body of a loved one for burial died on Friday when their minibus was involved in a crash with a lorry. According to the Transport Minister, Jean Ernest Bibehe, the lorry's driver also died in the accident and 3 people in the minibus were injured. The crash happened in the industrial city of Idia, about 80 kilometers east of the country's economic capital, Douala. Cameroon has among the highest proportion of road deaths in Africa, according to the latest available figures from the World Health Organization. Earlier this month, 15 people died when a bus plunged off the road in eastern Cameroon. And lastly, in sports news, at least a total of 8 countries have qualified for the round of 16 stage of the ongoing 2023 FIFA Under-20 World Cup in Argentina. Uzbekistan and Ecuador were the 2 latest teams to qualify for the round of 16 on Friday. Ecuador thrashed Fiji 9-0 in their final Group B stage fixture, while Uzbekistan defeated Guatemala 2-0 in their final Group A stage fixture. In other matches played on Friday, the host nation, Argentina, thrashed New Zealand 5-0 and the USA defeated Slovakia 2-0. Following the outcome of Friday's group stage matches, Ecuador qualified for the last 16 with 6 points from 3 matches, while Uzbekistan advanced with 4 points from the same matches. They joined the likes of Argentina, England, Nigeria, Colombia, USA and Gambia in the round of 16 stages. The remaining final group stage matches will take place on Saturday and Sunday. The round of 16 fixtures will commence next week. And with that, we've come to the end of Trust TV News Update. Do not forget to follow us across all our social media platforms. I am Sumaya Abubakar. Thanks for watching.